How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give him a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from last night, which was May 10th, 2022. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match 1, it was Jay Lethal versus Jake Something. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Jay Lethal went over with the lethal injection. Now, before the match, Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh were on the ring apron, and Jake Something was staring down. Well, Jake Something and Satnam Singh were having a stare down, and as that was going on, Jay Lethal attacked Jake Something and beat the shit out of him before the match started. That was cool. And after the match, as Jay Lethal was celebrating his victory, Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh came into the ring. Well, Sanjay Dutt started stomping on Jake Something, and after Sanjay Dutt stomped on Jake Something repeatedly, Sanjay Dutt got Jake Something up, and Sanjay Dutt held Jake Something up, and as Sanjay Dutt was holding Jake Something up, Satnam Singh attacked Jake Something with a running big boot, and then Satnam Singh picked Jake Something up and executed the choke slam, and so Satnam Singh laid Jake Something out with the choke slam, and as Jake Something was laid out, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh stood tall and everything. That was cool. And that was after the match, by the way. Match 2, it was Alex Reynolds versus Jake Manning. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Alex Reynolds went over with the rolling elbow. Now, after the match, as Alex Reynolds was celebrating his victory, the other members of the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno and 10, came out on stage and done their Dark Order pose, and as that was going on, Cesar Bononi and Tiger Ruas came out and attacked Evil Uno and 10 from behind and beat the shit out of them, and all the referees came out to break it up, and as the referees got Cesar Bononi and Tiger Ruas away from Evil Uno and 10, Alex Reynolds came up on stage and tended to Evil Uno and 10 and everything. That was cool. That was after the match, by the way. Match 3, it was the Gun Club, which are Austin and Colton Gunn, versus Fly Death, which are Warren J and Zach Zilla. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Gun Club went over cause Austin Gunn pinned Warren J with the quick draw. That was match 3, by the way. Match 4, it was Sean Dean versus Serpentico. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Sean Dean went over with the deal. Match 5, it was the Nightmare Family, which are Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson, versus the Brick City Boys, which are Victor Chase and Julio Cruz. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Nightmare Family went over cause Brock Anderson pinned Victor Chase with the Gourd Buster. Match 6, it was, Match 6, it was Abaddon versus Vicky Dreamboat. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Abaddon went over with the Black Dahlia. Match 7, it was Jora Joe versus Trip Jordy. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Jora Joe went over with the running pump kick. Match 8, it was Kiera Hogan versus Sky Blue. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Kiera Hogan went over with the roundhouse kick. Match 9, it was The Factory, which are Aaron Solo and Nick Comoroto versus the LA Dojo, which are Kevin Knight and DKC. That was a great match, but the ending to it, The Factory went over cause Aaron Solo pinned Kevin Knight with the spear from Nick Comoroto. Now after the match, QT Marshall threw DKC back into the ring, and Brick Aldridge and Blake Lee got into the ring, and then QT Marshall got into the ring, and QT Marshall got on the microphone, and QT Marshall cut a promo of saying, and was putting over Kevin Knight and DKC of the LA Dojo, and was talking about how the LA Dojo has done wonders for their careers, and talked about how the Factory is can do better wonders for their careers and everything. And then QT Marshall asked Kevin Knight and DKC if they wanted to join the Factory. Well, DKC attacked QT Marshall with a karate chop, and as that went on, Aaron Solo and Nick Comoroto attacked DKC, and Brick Aldridge and Blake Lee attacked Kevin Knight, and Aaron Solo, Nick Comoroto, Brick Aldridge, and Blake Lee all started attacking Kevin Knight and DKC and beating the shit out of them. And Aaron Solo and Nick Comoroto, Aaron Solo and Blake Lee threw Kevin Knight out of the ring, and actually, wait a minute. Nick Comoroto and Brick Aldridge threw Kevin Knight out of the ring, and then Aaron Solo and Blake Lee got out of the ring, and QT Marshall ordered Aaron Solo and Blake Lee to get 2 sets of tables. So Aaron Solo and Blake Lee got 2 sets of tables and set them up, and so Nick Comoroto and Brick Aldridge got on the ring apron and had DKC with them, and so Nick Comoroto and Brick Aldridge executed a double choke slam to DKC off the apron onto a couple tables, and then Aaron Solo and Blake Lee went and got Kevin Knight and threw him into the ring, and QT Marshall got back into the ring, and QT Marshall ordered Aaron Solo, Nick Comoroto, Brick Aldridge, and Blake Lee of the Factory to beat the shit out of Kevin Knight. But the other members of the LA Dojo, which are Yuya Uemura, Carl Fredericks, Alex Coughlin, and Clark Connors all came out. Wait, and then all the and then the other members of the LA Dojo, which are Yuya Uemura, Clark Connors, Carl Fredericks, and Alex Coughlin, came out, and well, QT Marshall retreated, and as Yuya Uemura, Clark Connors, Carl Fredericks, and Alex Coughlin all came to the ring, they beat the shit out of the Factory, which are Aaron Solo, Nick Camarado, Brick Aldridge, and Blake Lee, and as that was going on, the referees came out to break it up and tended to DKC and everything, and then the LA Dojo, which are Yuya Uemura, Clark Connors, Carl Fredericks, and Alex Coughlin, stood tall, while QT Marshall was outside the ring looking on and everything. Which that was cool. That was after the match, by the way. Match 10, it was Rohit Raju versus Adam Priest. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Rohit Raju went over with the diving foot stomp. And match 11, which was the main event, it was the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno and 10, versus Cesar Bononi and Tiger Ruas. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Dark Order went over cause 10 made Tiger Ruas tap out to the full Nelson. Now, besides the matches, Jorah Joel cut a promo talking about how Matt Hardy brought him into AEW and how Matt Hardy was his hero growing up and how Matt Hardy promised him opportunities and told him that he'd make it big and everything, and talked about how Matt Hardy left him and everything, and then talked about how now that how Andrade El Idolo is now his leader and everything, and talked about how and was saying that he hopes, since Matt Hardy didn't give him opportunities and left him, he's hoping Andrade El Idolo gives him opportunities, and was saying that if Andrade El Idolo doesn't give him any opportunities, then he'll prove to him and the world that he's the best, that he's the best in everything. That was cool. Now, besides all that, Taz and Excalibur. Besides all that, Taz and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. The referees for the event were Mike Posey, Paul Turner, Stephon Smith, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Stephon Smith refereed the match between Jay Lethal versus Jake Something. Mike Posey refereed the match between Alex Reynolds versus Jake Manning. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between the Gun Club versus Fly Deaf. Stephon Smith refereed the match between Sean Dean versus Serpentico. Paul Turner refereed the match between the Nightmare Family versus the Brick City Boys. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Abaddon versus Vicky Dreamboat. Mike Posey refereed the match between Jorah Joel versus Trip Jordy. It was Mike Posey, by the way. Paul Turner refereed the match. Paul Turner refereed the match between Kiera Hogan versus Sky Blue. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between The Factory versus the LA Dojo. Stephon Smith refereed the match between Rohit Raju versus Adam Priest. And Mike Posey refereed the match between the Dark Order versus Cesar Bononi and Tiger Ruas. So, all the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite tonight, it's going to be Ricky Starks versus Jungle Boy for the FTW title, CM Punk versus John Silver, Tony Nese versus Dan Housen, Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin in an Owen Hart Memorial Cup Tournament quarterfinal match in the men's division, Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood in an Owen Hart Memorial Cup Tournament quarterfinal match in the men's division, and Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm in an Owen Hart Memorial Cup Tournament quarterfinal match in the women's division. Now, besides the matches that have been announced, the Jericho Appreciation Society, which are Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker, will be conducting a victory speech, and MJF and Wardlow will be having a contract signing. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite tonight looks like it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it, and I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I just want to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from last night, which was May 10th, 2022. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road. Peace out.